project here, I'm taking rubbings of the desks. These are cedar desks from around 1905 from Scone Grammar School. What I do is I lay fabric out on top of the surface and then with a stick of charcoal just rub over the fabric to create these images of the texture and the lettering on the desks.
Our attention was drawn to the Arts Upper Hunter projects. It was put before a group of artists to decide which ones they wanted to do, and Sophie chose the grammar school desk because the grammar school is straight across the road from us, so we've always been friends, shall we say.
I was just drawn to these desks when I first saw images of them. They're very beautiful objects. They've got a great aesthetic appeal to them as well, but they've also got hundreds of students' names and initials. So it's a long and an important history to the area. It's been very interesting to do a bit of research into the history of these desks. We did find that one of the reasons why they were engraved probably was that there was a school teacher called William S. Walker, and he was allowing the students to engrave into the desks and generally run amok in the classroom. And he was dismissed by the principal at the time because he couldn't spell algebra and he couldn't solve algebraic problems. And one of the students whose name's engraved on the desk was actually the witness at that trial. So once the rubbings are done, we'll start embroidering with the local school students. I'll get a group of about 10 students come in, and it'll just be a really nice time to sit and talk about their schooling days and what it might have been like for these students and show them a few examples of other works in charcoal. Not probably the best idea, but they put their whole name on there so you can sort of see their whole name.
Make sure your thread's kept on, say, on the left side all the time and go halfway back.
About that length is good, because if you get too long, it's going to sort of pull out a little bit and make a bit of a mess.
Having a connection with community for our students is really important. We get to see the history of our town, as well as having that opportunity to work with artists and get to see artworks that happen in the real world.
It's been the highlight of my career to be here in Scone. I've often investigated museum practices, so this being here has allowed me to find a community that is behind these spaces rather than coming in just as a visitor, and it's inspired my practice in a really rich way because of that and made me want to do more.
There's certainly a lot of people living in Scone who don't necessarily know about the museum. We would be very grateful if it interested other people in helping us at the museum, where I would very much like an assistant to learn the ropes and help with creating displays and looking after our collection.
My name's Helene Leane. I'm an artist in Dungog, and I was very excited to receive the opportunity to check out Dungog Museum and be inspired by their cash register of pre-decimal currency, pounds, shillings and pence. It's a thing of beauty in itself. So you look at it and there's this engravings, it's a thing that you really respect in a shop. So when I saw that, I thought, what can I do as an artwork and an installation in relation to the cash register? So I thought, well, with such beautiful designs on the cash register, I can use that to make an installation piece using a process with rubbing off the ink from photographs. So I've done the big installation piece, but then I was starting to look through the museum itself, and I thought, well, what did the businesses look like in pre-decimal currency Dungog? And I went through the Dungog Chronicle newspapers and came across the advertising of the shops that advertising their products. And I thought, wouldn't they look great blown up into Andy Warhol style advertising in the museum? So this is a little collection, Davey and Olsen, Jupp's Butchery, the Market Royal, and then Dark's was a very, very popular shop where you could receive a surprise package. So they're celebrating our past and making them more colourful. So it's going to be a very colourful exhibition in the museum. So it's going to be really interesting. There'll be lots of information to take on as well. So it's a learning experience as well as a sort of a visual feast for everyone. When I was asked to do the project, I started talking to people, sourcing photographs, walking the street, telling people that was on, and suddenly there was people ignited in interest in the museum again. And I hope this project, with its emphasis on what happened in Dungog in pre-decimal currency, it's really going to transform the visitors, and they're going to have a really truly enjoyable and educational time.
A lot of pop art from the 60s, 50s, 60s and 70s was making reference to sales and pictures and going big and going loud and going bright. So it's a way of being really playful with it.
This project means so much to our museum. It just creates so much interest in the town of what's happening in our museum, and it's just such an impressive display.
It is an interaction with history and an interaction with art at the same time, and that's what I enjoyed so much about it. So I think this piece of machinery that was in Skillen and Oakley's and pre-decimal currency is a very valuable piece of machinery of artwork and such a valuable inclusion for the museum.
The other thing that worries me when I look around at some of these things, so Jesus, I think I've still got some of that stuff in my cupboard. Certainly I think you told us that it was going to be a bold and colourful exhibition, and I think there's no doubt about that.
I think that lots of people get different things from it, but I certainly hope a couple of people get what I get from it.
We hope that everyone that comes through can see how much we've done in this museum, and it's just so important for us to keep moving forward, and this display is part of that.
So I'd like to thank everyone for helping me just to be involved and to be a part of this magic that is Dungog. So thank you very much.
My name's Todd Fuller. I'm here at Tocal Homestead. Arts Upper Hunter have engaged me to work with Tocal Homestead for the last little while to activate a story from this site. The story I've worked with is that of Blackett Barn, this beautiful building you see behind me. So it's a beautiful building which has lots of very typical features of the Victorian Gothic style. So working with this site, I've been creating an animation, I've been visiting the site, I've been drawing from it, and I've been working through various collections, including those of the Tocal community, to kind of tell the story of this barn from the barn's perspective. So we've created a beautiful little poem that tells the history of the site from the perspective of this barn, and then through hand-drawn animations, working frame by frame, we've recreated some of the scenes, moments and memories of the actual barn. So these are sketches that were done, some on site and some off archival footage. Sketching is a massive part of my process. I'm a drawer, my animations are made through drawing. They're made one frame at a time through drawing, rubbing out and redrawing. So the sketchbook is a really important place where I kind of work things out and find the feel for a subject before the final piece starts to take form. So the interesting thing about this barn is that there was another one before it. But what happened in 1865 is it burnt down. The site was in limbo. It was waiting for a grandson to be born so that it could be given over as per the terms of a will to the next generation of the family. And as a result of that, the family basically had to write to the lawyers and say, well, we need permission to build a barn, we need this place to function. And the colony architect was brought in, and that's how we ended up with the incredible Edmund Blackett designing this piece. And these are the sisters, the Curtis sisters, who would have been through this space quite a lot. They died kind of 5 days apart and were here all their lives, very hardy women who were very much a part of the life of Tocal. The piece is also a little bit about the blurriness of history itself, how a site can mean something for one person and something completely different for the next generation, and how these architectural pieces, like many of the remnants we have of history, they blur and they change over time. So this site was once a home for bulls and cattle, and now it's more known as a wedding venue and a function venue. And neither of those uses is better or worse, but what's really incredible is that this building stands the test of time and harbours all those different memories and experiences within it.
There was one before me, but we know very little of them, just that they existed.
You know, the Edmund Blackett connection is really fascinating, and also I think so many people would walk past this barn and not realise the incredible significance of it. It is a rare gem. Yeah, and it's lovely to kind of tease that out and cherish it and celebrate it.
The horse and wagon passed through me often, laden with hay for the cows within. The horse moved with purpose, always forward. We progress, never going backwards.
Emotion is innate in storytelling. Good stories evoke emotion. If I'm not connecting with a subject, I can't get an audience to connect with it and go on that journey. A lot of my work is about bittersweetness. A lot of it is about elevating voices. A lot of it is about giving voices to people who don't otherwise get to tell their story. I mean, a barn can't talk because it doesn't have a mouth. But a lot of my stories and the people I work with are minorities or people who've been disadvantaged, and so absolutely emotions are a big part of that, and so is advocacy, and so is, ideas around justice. It's a really innovative project Arts Upper Hunter are doing here. By pairing artists with museums, artists are able to bring to life stories in unexpected ways for community museums. They can bring new angles, they can tell hidden stories, and they can enliven them and activate them in ways that are unexpected. So it's an incredible privilege to be given this site and this project.
I dream of what lies ahead, new hands to tend the fields, new voices to echo beneath my bones. Life flows through me, as constant as the stars above, and I stand steadfast for all that is yet to come.